Hello, Thrivers. My name is Andrew or Alamar, and welcome to Rediscover Your Hidden Intuitive Gifts and Reconnect with Loved Ones Beyond the Veil. Today, we have an amazing and wonderful guest. An amazing and wonderful guest, would you please introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Hello, Andrew. Hello, everyone. Oh, it's such a pleasure to be here with you. My name is Qorianka Cornejo. I am an Incan high priestess, medicine woman, and sacred guide for rising medicine women. I live in the beautiful, beautiful land of Cusco, Peru, among the Andean mountains with my husband, who is also an Incan priest. And we do love the work that we do because it's a work of love. It's in deep connection with Mother Earth, with the spirit guides of nature. I work primarily with Pachamama, Mother Earth, the spirits of the mountains, but many other wonderful spirit guides, including teacher plants. I do also work lovingly with Mama Cacao, Mama Rose, and many beautiful flowers.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. So I want to ask you, when it comes to plant medicine, how does one prepare to take that plant medicine and to go on a journey with that plant medicine?
The preparation is key. I cannot stress enough. Yes, thank you for that amazing question. For plant medicine, especially depending on the plant medicine, if it's going to be a deep, deep healer that will be potentially doing lots of amazing deep work with you, then the more you need to prepare. You can start connecting with the spirit of the plant beforehand through prayers, through meditation. And if you already know how to hold personal ceremonies that are, of course, something that you can do safely. If you do know how to do that, then go ahead and do that without drinking, taking in any plant medicine into your body. Just go into your heart and connect at the soul spiritual level. If you don't know how to hold safely ceremony for yourself or nobody can do that for you, then don't do that. But you can safely do prayer and meditation, right? You can do also walks in nature and contemplation. You can have a kind of prayer that for me is my everyday kind of experience, and that is having a conversation with the plant, just talking to that plant, to that spirit guide, with love, with reverence, with faith, and with total sincerity, coming from the heart. That's all it takes, really. Over time, you can do that time and time again. Perhaps take some time to listen also.
Mhm.
And sometimes the spirit guides will speak to you through dreams or through thoughts. Perhaps the spirit guides will give you some signs. Sometimes they're very subtle, very, very subtle. And that's why listening and trusting yourself is important through this process of connection with the spirit guide. Also, pray to all of your spirit guides, to God, the divine, for support, guidance, for protection as well, so that they all walk with you as you approach the moment of ceremony. And during ceremony, for sure, be sure to also call on all of them because they will be your sacred team supporting and guiding you. Not only the spiritual guide, the physical human being person here on earth helping you, but there will be also this team. But it's also up to you to call them because none of your spirit guides can step forward without you giving them permission, without you actually wanting them to be there, without you acknowledging their existence to start with, and really asking for their support.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. So I want to ask you, when it comes to plant medicine, do you have to be called to that plant medicine to do it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Um, Oftentimes people think that the idea of stepping into any kind of ceremony for that matter comes from them. They just think, this is what I'm feeling like, this is what I want. Or I am curious, but the true calling comes from the spirit guides. We don't step into ceremonies unless they have called us and they create a pathway for us to be able to go into that ceremony at that moment in time. So if the desire to go into a ceremony comes from the ego, not from the invitation of the spirit guides, then that's often when people run into trouble, because you probably have heard some instances when people have had not only tough times, but actually things didn't work out at the end of the day for them when they went into a ceremony. And that's because there are many reasons for that, but some of them might be that the person was not really called by the spirit of the plant or by the spirit guides in that ceremony. That person came from the ego, just wanted to test the waters or wanted a high adrenaline rush from certain plants, or thought, well, this is in my bucket list, one more interesting thing to do in this life. Perhaps, yes, there were many reasons, but there can be other reasons too outside of them. So if something in the equation is not in alignment
Mhm.
for the person to have a sacred ceremony that is truly healing and good for them, then yes, sometimes things might not go so smoothly and can actually be experiences that are not healing the way we intended.
Okay, that makes sense. I do hear a lot about cases where people will go into plant medicine and they'll come out scarred or hurt or emotionally damaged in some sort of way. So that makes sense that you have to be called to it to do it, or you could get damaged. Um,
Yes,
uh,
yes, it's important to be mindful and to be responsible in the way that we go into ceremonies. There are other elements in the equation, as I said, like also the right spiritual guide, many other things about sacred space, and yes, you name it. We could go on and on about this because it's a very deep conversation.
yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So I want to ask you next, as a high priestess and medicine woman, you carry an ancient Incan legacy of healing and transformation. How do these ancient ancestral practices open doors for others to reconnect with loved ones who have crossed over?
Wow, that's a beautiful question.
Thank you.
I just love it because I myself have connected and reconnected with sweet spirits of people that I know and I love through Incan ceremonies and other ceremonies as well, in connection to Mother Earth, to the spirits of nature. So there is one ceremony in particular I can think of right now that can be very, very helpful for people to connect with the spirits of departed ones, and that is an Incan coca leaf reading. Oh my gosh, that's such a sweet ceremony. And I have to tell you, being able to hold an Incan ceremony of this kind, the coca leaf reading, is something that the spirit guides give to certain people, not to everyone. This is not something that can be learned by taking a class or a course, actually. Yes, you could learn things like ABC, right? Some techniques and to look at, but that would be as much as you would be able to learn. But the actual connection with the spirit guides and the receiving of the messages and the communion with the spirits of departed ones through this ceremony couldn't really fully happen unless the spirit guides decide this is for you to do. So my spiritual partner and husband, Peter, he is actually someone with this kind of a gift. I don't have it. I have to admit it. I can work in many other ways, and my intuition is there for many other beautiful ceremonies. But the Incan coca leaf reading, that's my husband's ability.
Okay.
And it's a true gift. It's a beautiful gift. So I have received ceremony from him many times, and also from other sweet spiritual guides in the same lineage we are in, from
Mhm.
our teachers as well. And I can tell you, oh my gosh, it's such a gift,
Mhm.
because through this Incan coca leaf reading, what happens is that the spirit of the plant, the coca plant, becomes a bridge in between the worlds, and is a spirit guide that specializes in helping us connect with the spirit guides and also with spirits of people, departed ones, to help them oftentimes in the afterworld if they need anything from us, or there is an unfinished business or something. Then this is important stuff, why we would want to communicate with them. And we have done this before. I have gotten to know about the need of some grandparents of mine that needed some support through ceremony from me, and that information came through coca leaf reading. Also, there was someone very dear to my heart who departed, and this sweet, amazing, sweet sister, she also, I just had this feeling, this urge inside of me, and I knew that she needed something from me. So I went to coca leaf reading, and in the coca leaf reading, I was able to ask her directly, you know, what else can I do for you? Because I already through the reading knew something I had gotten from the spirit guides information. She needs this and that. But then I could also ask this beautiful question: is there anything else you need from me? And so I got answers to all of those questions. And thanks to that, we were able to hold really deep ceremonies that were in alignment for her soul. So very, very amazing things can come out of this communication with the spirit guides through the Incan Coca Leaf reading. There are other ceremonies in the Incan lineage to
Mhm,
support the spirit's transition and go to a good place
mhm,
as they are making their journey. Because you know what, as you probably already know, everyone in your tribe knows this, is that this lifetime is just a chapter in many, 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 many chapters in this infinite book of life for all of us souls. Because really, energy cannot be destroyed, it can only be transformed. So there is not an end to the soul, to the energy that we are. And so that's an amazing, super amazing thing to really be clear about and to know. And personally, for me, is, just feels amazing because, we're not only right here, right now, but we have all of these other connections in other realms that are of the light.
yeah. I love that so much. Thank you for explaining that a lot more deeply. And I want to ask you about this ceremony. I want to ask you, do you recommend for someone to come there to Peru to do it with you so that they can be guided and held space for, or is it something that can be done via Zoom?
You see, many, many ancestral Incan ceremonies can be done through Zoom. Many.
Okay.
There are very, very few things when it comes to ceremonies of the ancestral lineages that I know of and I work with that cannot be done through Zoom. Like something like an ayahuasca ceremony, the way we know it, a full ayahuasca ceremony wouldn't be something we do through Zoom. But the coca leaf reading and Incan ceremonies can be done distance,
Mhm.
and many of them through Zoom in video conference. And you know what? They work as powerfully as in person. And I totally understand your thoughts. I mean, I know the same thing. I totally am there with you. In person is beautiful, and there is something special about being in person, for sure, undeniable. But the power of the ceremonies and the result remains as powerful distance or online. And I have seen this and witnessed it and been there in these ceremonies time and time and time again.
Mhm.
And it's just being the most wonderful gift for me to be able to see how everything unfolds and how my sister clients, medicine women, are being supported by these ceremonies, and they are being realigned, reconnected to their souls, healed, cleansed, uplifted by these ceremonies.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to know that just because I think some people are like, well, what if I can't get to Peru or what if I can't travel? I wanted that question to be in there just because if they can't, then they can always book a session and show up on Zoom. And still,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, Andrew. A lot of the work that I do through Altura's Spiritual Journeys, which is the name of what we do, and the house online right now, it's Altura's Spiritual Journeys, is a lot of it online. I have many sacred programs that are happening online, and it's been just amazing. And I just love technology for that. I'm very, very grateful because it works. The world of spirit and our soul connection is eternal, is powerful, is ever present, and there is no issue with physical distance.
Mhm. Okay, I love that. And thank you again for explaining that a lot more deeply because a lot of people who know that this is their path, who know that it's time for them to transform more deeply and connect more deeply, can now know that they can come and connect. So I love that. And thank you again for answering that question. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so I want
Yeah.
to ask, oops, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and I was wondering if anyone would like to have a coca leaf reading,
Mhm.
because Peter and I, my husband and I, we partner to do these coca leaf readings. Then, there is a link for you. I do want to share that with you, Andrew, and I'm sure you can share that with people. It's
Yes.
a link for them to, I'm going to put it right here in the chat.
Okay.
It's in my website, so alturasspiritualjourneys.com/reading dash special. And
Okay.
so that would be a very special, exchange. Energetically, there is an exchange, but this would be a special for people in your community if they want a coca leaf reading, because only good stuff comes out of it. I'm just telling you. I just love them. They're the most beautiful, sweet ceremony ever.
I love that so much. Yes, thank you. And I'll definitely put that when we do your graphics for your page, I'll definitely put that link in there as well under your free gift so they can take that opportunity as well because I think it'll be a really great thing, especially because we're getting closer and closer to Halloween and the veil doesn't close just on Halloween. It's open throughout the year, so they'll be able to connect with their ancestors more easily, and they'll be able to get whatever messages they need from the cult reading.
Yes, it's something to be experienced.
I love it. Thank you so much. Okay, so I want to ask you now about Pachamama. And in guiding women through the path of Pachamama, what role does intuitive gifts play in helping people deepen their understanding of their spiritual lineage?
Well, of course, the intuition, that is a beautiful tool. It's a tool that we have that is innate to us humans. Some of us actually use it and want to get better at it, and being able to understand it and utilize it appropriately. Other people ignore it exists and even are afraid of it. I mean, we're all over, with that topic of our intuition, but we all have it. It's there. So rest assured, you're not lacking. um, Now, when it comes to working with Pachamama and the connection with our intuition, well, our intuition is like having another set of eyes. It's just a different kind of set of eyes, right? With these eyes, we get to see the physical, and with the intuition, is another set of eyes that we get to see beyond. We get to see the world of spirit. We get to feel the world of spirit. So this kind of ability is not only about kind of like with the eyes that we have, physical eyes, to see, but also to perceive, touch, kind of like perceive, palpate. It can really work as all of our other physical senses a little bit, like there is a little bit of a correlation with that. But, it's, a lot of the times we call them our another set of eyes because many people really see, have visions and stuff like that. But also intuition can be a way in which we get messages from the spirit guides and the spirit world, um, through words that we hear in our heads. And if we are not attuned to this ability, we might think that it's our own thoughts. You know how it is very normal. I mean, it sounds funny when we say it, but it's normal that we're walking down the street, nobody's with us. We are maybe walking half an hour from our home to the grocery store, and we're talking to ourselves. We're having this interesting conversation in our heads. Well, sometimes the voice of the spirits sound a lot like our own voice.
Yeah.
They're using our mind, our ability, and come through. And so it takes some training, some knowledge, some personal knowing and understanding to be able to tell when it's not your voice, but the voice of somebody else. In this case, it might be a spirit guide of love and light. And that's another thing I want to just point out. This is a little side note.
Mhm.
Make sure, please, that you are always committed to being in love and light and to only receiving messages from the spirit guides of love and light and nothing else. Because there are other voices out there too. There are other beings that are not of the light. And of course, we don't want to be having conversations with them or being affected by them or for them to give us some kind of advice, because, that's not what we are about. We really, really are beings of love and light, meant to be that, divine essence coming through. So that's the kind of realm we want to play in and the beings we want to be around. And that's also why I love being around Andrew, because he's such a amazing human being of love and light. And so we want to be in that kind of crowd.
Mhm. Okay, that makes sense. And I love that you kind of put that disclaimer or sort of disclaimer sort of situation because I think a lot of people do worry about that. A lot of people ask the question, how do I know the difference? A lot of people ask the question, is it possible to put up, how do you call it, almost like a boundary or a almost like a force field to block out those things so they don't even come up because you already have that kind of protection put up. So is it possible to kind of set your own automatic boundary for those spirits not to be even to be able to come through to you?
That's a really good one. And I like to answer that question. Yes, because you know what? Safety first. I'm a firm believer on safety first in everything that we do and who we are. I mean, that's the nursing background coming through, I think. But yes, and when it comes to energy and spiritual stuff, yes, we also need to think in terms of safety first as well. And yes, we can. So the quick answer to the question, Andrew, is yes, we can. We can create a healthy boundary that will preserve our energy and our beingness will be protected and well. But also, we need to think in terms of support because we are not here to do these things by ourselves. And truth to be told, we are not quite strong to do this appropriately and for this boundary to be healthy and strong enough in every situation when we are still young and growing up in the ability to do our sacred work that has to do with spirituality and energy, when we are still taking baby steps in the realms of walking between the spirit world and this world and learning to communicate with the spirit world. And when we say we're young and we're baby, I'm not talking about you to say, well, you are too young in age, right? A person can be young spiritually at 70, 80, 90. I don't care. Even the day we die, we might still be spiritually young. It's
Mhm.
the truth of the matter. Now, growing up spiritually, that's another truth I want to share with you, doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't. I don't care how many trainings we have taken, how many experiences of healing we had. Um, there are people out there that have done many, many of those things, and they have taken some steps forward, but not necessarily huge steps forward. And we might remain babies spiritually for years and years and years.
Mhm.
What makes the difference for us to take leaps of growth spiritually and be better prepared and stronger to protect our energy and do the sacred work and all of that? Well, that takes a lot of courage and determination. That takes a lot of work. That takes us rolling up our sleeves and doing the dirty job of clearing ourselves, receiving spiritual guidance, healing, really going deep in every experience that we have an opportunity to heal and grow.
Mhm.
There is plenty of work for us to do. And some people have more heavy baggage that they carry that they need to let go of. Some others might have it a little lighter and might be a little easier and quicker. So it all depends. We are very different, from each other in our experiences and our needs. But the other thing that I see that is important to mention is that in this day and age, especially in big cities, we people think that it's really important to be independent and to be strong and do it all by ourselves. And that's an important element in our self image and the way we see ourselves as strong. We want independence and do it all, do it all. And we think that's ideal. And yet, our grandparents, our spirit guides, and our ancestors from the past in ancient cultures knew very well that there was a lot of value and a real need to be working as teams. For a person to have spiritual guides and mentors, for a medicine woman like myself or a medicine person like yourself, Andrew, to have mentors, teachers, and guides, and other spiritual guides walking beside us and guiding us. For somebody else who has walked the path before us, who has gotten to some level of development in their sacred work and spiritual development, to guide the way and also to offer initiations.
Mm.
And that's why I have been called to doing the sacred work of initiating the medicine women. I didn't come up with this idea. It wasn't my will. I didn't woke up one day and decided, oh, I think it's a good idea to start initiating medicine women. Actually, that took me by surprise and was a calling. And I acknowledge that. And over time, over many weeks and months, and even I would say years, it was coming and coming and coming clearly to me. And I couldn't deny it. And I realized, well, it's time to do the work and to start creating the sacred containers, to start preparing myself for this, to do whatever the spirit guides are calling me to do, like I always do. And so the initiation of the medicine women, in this case, which is what I know, is a necessity for medicine women to grow stronger in also preserving their spiritual energy, to preserving their sacred space. Because you know what? Sometimes we come up against really heavy energies. Sometimes they're heavy energies, but you know, you can handle it without being maybe so prepared. It's okay, you know, we can do it. But sometimes you get really some tough ones.
Mhm.
And when you get those tough ones, you better be sure to have beside you an spiritual guide, someone that can help you along the way. You better be sure to have the spiritual initiations and receive the blessings and the support from the spirit guides in these powerful ways so that you are well prepared to face everything and anything. And you want to be really walking this path of a spiritual energetic work with really clear, strong foundations.
Mhm.
It's necessary. This is not a fun thing. It can be fun, working in a spiritual energetic ways. There is plenty of beauty and plenty of things to enjoy. And
Mhm.
also you want to be super strong and well prepared for everything and anything as much as you can.
Mhm. Okay. I love that. And again, thank you so much for going so deeply into it because it's really important. Everything that you said is incredibly important when it comes to especially us new people, or I can't say us, new people who are coming into the spiritual journey and who not only want to do plant medicine, but who want to awaken themselves to their ancestral connections, their intuitive connections, and possible connections beyond the veil, whatever that means, interdimensional, all that stuff. So yeah, thank you for going so deeply into it. I want to ask you next about teaching women how to live authentically in their divine essence. How can reconnecting with their inner wisdom enhance their relationships with both living and those who move beyond the veil? I kind of asked you this already before, so yeah, if you want to answer it, you can. Just a little. Yeah.
Yes, you spoke about two things there, the divine essence and the inner wisdom,
Okay.
which are connected, very deeply connected, right? The inner wisdom to the divine essence. The divine essence, I want to just define that for people. What I mean when I speak in terms of divine essence, I'm talking about basically the divine energy and expression of God through you, through your soul. And of course, the wisdom piece, the inner wisdom, is the inner knowing that your soul has, because your soul has probably had experiences before, whether a lifetime before this one, or the knowing that comes from that deep connection to source and the universe. So that's, yes, that's that part of the inner wisdom. And yes, if we are going to have connection personally with our spirits from the other realms, our grandmothers, grandfathers, as I like to call them, if it's going to happen directly through you, sometimes it can happen in this way. It can be spontaneous, or sometimes if we are people who know how to hold ceremony and have that ability, it might happen through ceremony. Sometimes it might happen spontaneously, just walking down the street, or perhaps in meditation or prayer. But if that's going to ever happen in that way, it's going to happen because in some way you have aligned your uh, energy, you have cleared the path, you're well connected to your soul, you are well connected to your intuition, that inner wisdom. So the pathways of connection with the spirit realm are open, and it makes it more easeful for spirits on the other side to speak to you because they know they're going to be listened to, that you're going to actually understand who they are, or that there is something important there to them talking to you. So yes, it's a good thing to have that ability. And again, it's not for everyone, right? Some people are called to actually cultivate these abilities and to polish themselves and to cleanse themselves and go through all of the things, the initiations and trainings and everything, you name it, so that they can somehow serve this world with that kind of an ability. And for others, it just doesn't make any sense because they're not to use it. And that's okay, not all of us can be nurses, doctors, or lawyers, right? Like it's the same thing with this kind of work. We all
Mhm.
have been called to something specific in this lifetime. We have real sacred callings to all of us, and none is more important than the other. It's just different. We all come equipped for the thing we're called to do.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. So I want to ask you a question that's a little strange, but I kind of want to ask you something about along the lines of like curiosity. The thing that I've come across a couple of times, maybe not a lot of times, but there are some people that I come across who are curious about spirits that would be considered bad or evil and connecting with them. And I understand that you're supposed to have protections when it comes to them, but what do you say to those people who want to, I guess I want to say, gauge their curiosity and the lessons of connecting with spirits who may not be the best? If that makes any sense at all, it sounds really, really weird, but yeah, I've gotten this kind of like question a couple of times where people are more so curious and they want to do bad things or they want to connect with an evil spirit for ego or whatever. It's more so like about like understanding their story and understanding the message behind that spirit or their needs or whatever. But not only that, understanding, I guess like why the connection they want is so important to them. If that makes any sense. So yeah, I
Hmm.
kind of wonder what your opinion is about it.
Yes, that's a great question. Once again, I love responding to it. It makes me think back in time when we were little children
Mhm.
and we were in a school. And didn't you hear about people around you, or maybe you were that person who was like, oh, you know, there is this way to communicate with the dead, boo, let's do Ouija, I think it's called, right?
Yeah.
Use this kinds of techniques and things, and let's call the spirits and
Mhm.
see what they say. And people like children sometimes get a rush, like an energy rush, adrenaline rush, to do these things feels really exciting. And but that comes from someone who is pretty young and unprepared and doesn't know any better, right? But as adults, sometimes people behave in these ways that are uh, not really appropriate any longer. I mean, like adults would know better and would tell that little child, right? No, you don't do that. That's dangerous, for different reasons. You might be able to explain to a child. But sometimes adults still are feeling that kind of urge or desire to explore darkness somehow. And what I want to say to people who are feeling that way is that I want them to understand right now we are living in times of a spiritual war. There is a war happening behind the veils between light and darkness. Sometimes people that I have met in the past said to me, I don't believe in darkness, darkness doesn't exist, there is only light. And I wish I could actually believe that, but experience has shown me otherwise.
Mhm.
Even if I were going to agree with these people and say, well, okay, there is no darkness, but you know what? I have seen the effects that false energy has in the world. That the darkness, whether it is existing or not, even if we leave that out of the question, the consequences of that darkness are very real.
Yeah.
So we want to have that into consideration. So if there is a spiritual world happening between light and darkness, guess what? We are in the middle of it. And light is inside of us, but also darkness can really want to manifest itself through us. And if you are someone with some kind of more developed ability, or it's easier for you to have communication with the spirit world, with the dead, or to be a channel of some sort for spirits, then you are one of those people that darkness might want on their team. And what does darkness do? Well, it tries to entice people to go in that direction. How does that happen? Well, with desires and thoughts that you have might be planted by darkness, right? Saying things like, oh, this is exciting, adrenaline rush, or look how powerful you are, look how amazing you are. Other people don't have what you have. You can do this, they cannot. Look, there is something in the unknown that you might find interesting. Let's explore that. And sooner than you know, you start to walk on a slippery slope.
Mm, yeah.
And it might be exciting at the beginning. And yes, you might discover stuff along the way that is, secret, occult. People don't know about it, and you do. And that might make your ego feel important. And you might get to feel like, wow, like I am above everybody else because I know all of these things. I have seen all of these things. And yet, you might be sooner than later becoming an instrument of darkness. So, how does that happen? When people play Ouija or somehow start to communicate with the death, with others, other realms, without any support from any spiritual guide, any protection. They don't have initiations. They are not coming to this kind of experiences in sacred ways. They are not clear that they are going to communicate only with the light, with spirits of love and light. When none of that is there, and you're coming from a totally different place of being seduced by darkness and that desire of just having some experience,
Mhm.
then they might decide, oh, okay, now he opened the door. You become at that point like a house without doors, without windows, you're open. And just like you wouldn't want that to happen, because of course there are good people out there, but there are also people who might want to steal, go into your home to steal or do some kind of harm,
Mhm.
then these spirit guides will go into you and you're going to become, you know what? A channel of darkness. And they're going to speak through you, they're going to take action through you, they can harm your family members, they can harm other people out there,
Mhm.
they can harm you definitely. People have gotten crazy, literally, people have lost their minds because of spirits going into their bodies and acting through them. And I'm not just saying that because I have heard,
Mhm.
far away stories. I actually have met real human beings, sacred clients that had family members that fell into this. I have also had other experiences. I actually had my own experience, my husband and I, Peter, once, upon a blue moon, there was a dark force wanting to take us to the other side. I mean, we literally had someone coming to us seemingly as a client asking for some kind of sacred work, and actually that person had been taken over. Like she wasn't herself. She definitely wasn't herself. She thought she was working with beings of love and light. She thought, but the reality was showing us that it was something else, and that there was some intentions there. And of course, we were firm, and we were like, no. We know who we are. We know who we work with, and we don't want, to be in this realm. We don't play in this realm. We know that we belong to love and light, and this is what we do. And so nothing happened to us except that we got a really amazing awakening experience around light and darkness.
Okay, I love that. Well, I don't love the experience. That's scary. I don't love that people would go through that, but I do love that you had the experience so that you can be a more powerful practitioner going forward. Um, yeah, and thank you for explaining that because I think again it does come up a lot for people who are not only just starting out, but also for people who are seasoned. They are so curious, and yeah, there's a lot of ego involved in it as well. But yeah, the curiosity can be dangerous, and I think I really want that to, excuse me, be or come across the people who are watching because if you stumble across the wrong thing, like you said, you could get taken over and harm people you love. Um, excuse me. So definitely, people who are watching, be careful. And make sure you're channeling things with love and light and understand that things of love and light can offer you more and better and more love and peace than anything else. Um, yeah, so thank you so much again for that. Um, I want to,
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
tell me, tell me.
But I want to ask you about I think again you've kind of answered this just a little bit as well earlier, but I want to ask you, in what ways do the teachings of Inca lineage illuminate pathways to honoring and maintaining communication with ancestors, allowing them to become more active guides in our life?
Hmm. Yes, well, the Incan spiritual teachings and the sacred Incan work, this is a big aspect of it, is living in communion with the spirit guides, living in communion with the spirit world, honoring our ancestors and the grandparents, and allowing ourselves to receive their support as well, their love and support, their guidance, to always keeping ourselves in that mindset of I am a child,
Mhm.
I am a beloved child. And you can repeat that with me, hey? I am a beloved child
I am a beloved child.
of the divine and my spirit guides. I am a beloved child. And the more you claim it and own it, the more you make it easier for them to come through and give you so much love. Sometimes people think they are lonely, they're alone. Sometimes their families don't get them because, let's face it, we really are doing some kind of work that is a little different, to the usual out there. And they think that that's it, they're alone. And that's not the truth. We have so much love around us and we're in good company. But for us to walk in good company, again, we need to open up the doors to those loving spirit guides. And we must be willing to receive their love and support without feeling in any way that that means we're less than. There is nothing wrong about receiving love and support. Actually, it's very human, very necessary. And you know what? We live a happier life, a more fulfilling life when we live in this relationship, in this ongoing relationship with the ancient ones.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Thank you for saying that. Okay, I have two more questions, not big questions.
Oh, go for it.
I want to ask you next if people would like to work with you, not only for ceremony, but just to connect with you, see what you're doing, and see how they can work with you, where can they find you?
Yes, well, in Altura's spiritual journeys in the website, you can find links. There are in many of my pages links to communicate with me, to have a sacred interview call with me if you would like us to work together. As I said, I offer initiatory programs and also healing programs. And it's a matter of talking and seeing if it's a good fit for us to work together. I just ask that people who want to talk to me already know and are committed to growing in their sacred medicine as medicine women, that they already know that they want to work for the love and light in this world, that they know they are called to be leaders of the light, and that they are ready to actually start taking some steps forward, because knowing that you are called to something is not the same as being ready to start also putting in the work, also doing the things that are required for you to move forward.
Mhm.
And wherever you are, if you need healing still, you know that that's a big part right now for you that you need to take care of, healing and growing. Or if you're ready to start being initiated as a medicine woman, or you're already in the path but want to be initiated into the Incan lineage path, or some of the other spiritual initiations paths that I offer, then I am here for you and I am ready to go. But let's talk about that if you are feeling the calling.
Okay, I love that so much. Thank you for offering that, and thank you for sharing. One more big question, or kind of big question. Do you have a free gift or offer to share with the audience today?
Yes, yes, yes. There is this beautiful offering that I have. It's an audio transmission called Release Ceremony. And it's a ceremony inspired in Incan ceremonies. It's a guidance that I give you, and my presence, my spiritual presence is there through this this recording. And this is a beautiful way in which I have been able to support many people clear whatever you are ready to release. So that's the beauty of the ceremony is multi-purpose. So what are you ready to let go of? Is there some anger, resentment you're holding on to? Or maybe some fear that is kind of paralyzing? Or maybe you are having some issue with someone in your life, or there is something that you want to clear. You only know what that is. Whatever that is, then this release ceremony can support you. In fact, some people have used it time and time again for different purposes of releasing different things at different times. So yes, and if you do go for it and serves you well, I'd love to hear from you and see how that helped you.
I love that. Again, thank you so much. That's going to be absolutely wonderful. So, you guys who are watching, please enjoy her free gift, and enjoy the journey of the free gift, and then connect with her and see and see how you guys could possibly work together again after that. I'm excited to partake in the free gift, and I hope that you guys are as well. And thank you so much for being a part of this summit and for allowing me to take up an hour of your time today. I think this interview and our conversation was absolutely wonderful, just like every time we meet. And thank
Oh gosh, we create magic together. That's it.
you.
And
Yeah, every time. And I love it. Just thank you again so much for being here and for sharing your light and your magic. And I can't be grateful enough.
not all my gratitude to you. It's been a pleasure, and it's also my pleasure and my joy to be here with our audience. Thank you for listening, for being here with us today.